the past and the future.
It was a foggy autumn day in London, 150 years ago, and Helen could only see a few grey shapes through her bedroom window. But then she heard a noise somewhere above her and went to find her brother. He was reading about 16th century kings and queens.
I heard something upstairs, Robert. Let's explore the top rooms,
she said.
All right.
Robert answered and closed his book.
Come on.
The children almost never went into the top rooms. They were dark and cold places. There were no lights or fires, no rugs on the floor, and no chairs to sit on. In the first 2 rooms, they only found mouse holes. But in the 3rd room, an enormous broken mirror stood next to a bookcase. In one corner, there was an old violin, a chess set, a long, thin, red board with wheels on it, and something else that was small, flat, and grey. Robert picked it up.
Have you ever seen these things before?
He asked Helen.
Never,
she said. There were no books in the bookcase, just a slow old spider and 2 small pieces of paper. Helen took them to the window where it was easier to read the writing.
Look at this,
she whispered.
It says, "No, meet me, the future."
Suddenly, there was another sound behind Helen. She turned around and saw a strange boy in the broken mirror. He was trying to say something, but his words, like the glass in the mirror, were broken into small pieces. Then the strange grey object in Robert's hand began to move a little. Robert threw it to Helen, and the moment her fingers touched it, the boy from the mirror jumped into the room.
Hi, you got my message. Great! Pleased to meet you,
he said. Helen was too surprised to speak, but her brother wasn't.
Excuse me,
he said.
Have you come to help us? I've got some difficult homework. What do you know about 16th century kings and queens?
Nothing,
the boy said.
But in 150 years, you can find out about anything really quickly on a computer. A glass screen that's full of light and sound. You can watch moving pictures on it, listen to and read information, do puzzles, draw pictures called cartoons, and play learning games on it too.
How do you know?
Helen said.
Because I'm from the future. That's where and when I live,
the boy answered.
I often travel in time. I've come back for my skateboard. I forgot to take it home.
Your what?
Helen asked.
My skateboard. Ah, there it is. Great. It looks okay.
What's it for?
Robert asked.
Do you use it for carrying things?
Yes. Me!
The boy laughed.
You stand and ride on it. It's fun.
Let me try,
said Helen. She stood on the skateboard and Robert pushed her across the floor.
It doesn't go very fast.
It does when you go down a hill.
The boy laughed.
What else is different in the future?
Helen asked.
Well, when I want to write something, I touch letters and numbers.
You're too poor to have a pen for writing letters or invitations,
Robert said.
Here, have one of mine.
Thanks. A few children still use pens in the future,
the boy said.
But millions send several messages each day to their friends on small machines that they keep in their pockets. They talk to their friends on them too.
He looked at Helen.
You're holding one, actually.
This?
Helen said.
Yes, it's called a phone.
The boy said.
I came back for that too.
We have to walk or go on horses to talk to our friends.
Helen said.
Some children ride horses in my time, but lots more ride bicycles or travel in cars. Metal machines with engines and wheels.
Like trains.
Robert said.
I've read about those.
Oh, that's right, but much smaller.
And when people are ill,
Asked Helen, who was thinking so hard about all this amazing information, she was beginning to get a headache.
In the 21st century, ambulances will drive them to hospitals where amazing cameras can see inside their bodies. Buses and taxis will take businessmen and women to work in skyscrapers too.
skyscrapers?
Helen asked.
Buildings that are so tall they sometimes touch the clouds.
The boy answered.
And places called airports will be full of flying machines that take hundreds of passengers to any country in the world.
Next, you're going to say that people will be able to fly to the moon.
Robert laughed.
That's right.
The boy said.
Brave people called astronauts will fly around the Earth or visit other planets in rockets that fly 500 kilometres through space every minute.
I think I prefer finding out about the past.
Robert said.
Well, you can do that too if you want.
The boy smiled, took his skateboard and phone and disappeared back into the mirror.
Interesting, but he knew nothing about history. Let's meet someone from the past after lunch.
Robert said and left the room. Helen smiled and looked at the future boy's message again.
Flying machines.
She thought.
Where's my favourite drawing pencil?